Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, wherever you are on this amazing planet. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shia.
Welcome to being here.
Yes, welcome to being here.
Today is an opportunity to exercise your hidden superpower.
Do you know what it is?
I do. Do you?
I do.
What is it?
It's being here. See, but how do you get here? See, that's the conundrum.
Well,
Conundrum's like a big problem.
Different ways at different moments, but in this moment, while you're listening to this episode of Being Here, hence the word listening, it's through listening.
Yeah. If you truly listen, rather than agree or disagree, rather than you think you've heard this before, rather than comment on what's being said, but let it come into you, it will pull you into the current moment of your life. And you will be here, not doing being here, but actually being here. And your life will transform in that instant.
Now, if you're currently speedy in your thoughts and you're commenting on everything Shai just said, and maybe commenting on what I'm saying, now that's okay. You cannot do it wrong. This is transformation. Yes, start where you are. It's actually the second principle of instantaneous transformation.
And you can only be where you are in the current moment of your life. That is what the second principle states, that you can only be exactly as you are right now.
You know, there was a day back in 1987 where it's as if the world cracked open and Shia stepped into an experience of being here. And it really is that life, that experience, that right here, right now, you can only be exactly as you are.
And if you look at that, you'll realize that you could only have been exactly as you were in any previous moment of your life.
So if you find yourself in this moment a little tense and you see it without judging, it completes itself in an instant. Today is about the perfection of you, the perfection of being you. When you're being here, life is this magical adventure, regardless of the circumstances.
And regardless of what you think. See, like I was noticing my thoughts. And my thoughts go something like, I'm tired this morning. I'd rather not do this.
Right.
And that's an interesting thought. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to bring any less energy or intentionality or
meanness, not meanness, but me.
No, bring myself to this moment because that's what I'm going to do, because that's what I'm doing.
You know, our approach is not psychologically based, it's anthropologically based. An anthropologist looks at how a culture is put together without judging the pieces of the culture.
A psychologically based is looking for somebody to blame how you are
or figure it out, or why am I like this?
Well, that's blaming. That's finding a cause outside yourself to say, this is the reason why I am the way I am. It's because the way my parents were.
It is a time-based. Then this happened. Now this is the way I am because of this.
That.
In transformation, it's simple.
What is, you know, I heard somebody saying over and over again yesterday, it is what it is.
But what they meant was, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it.
And I'm stuck with it. Rather than, it is exactly as it is, and that's an opportunity.
Let's take an opportunity.
Okay, our next opportunity. Christian, where are you calling in from?
Hey guys, I'm calling in from Munich, Germany.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. So good to see you and hear you.
Excellent. Good to be with you.
Ditto.
What can we do for you today?
Yes.
So I'm a freelance hair and makeup artist,
Mhm.
and I did a makeup school about 15 years ago. And I remember this moment when I had this idea, when I go to Paris, I will be accomplished makeup artist, hairstylist, and so on. So about 9 years ago, I moved to Germany, first to Hamburg and then now to Munich. And this thing came up, this theme of, oh, Paris, like it's nice here in Germany, but yeah, one day it will be Paris. So I got the opportunity to go to Paris this past end of February, and I stayed in Paris for 5 weeks. So on one point, I did like a few shows for Paris Fashion Week, and on one point, something hit. Like, I was like, wow, okay, this is Paris. And I got to realize it doesn't matter where I am, if I'm in Paris or in Germany. I had like something switched. I could see that I have had this little conversation in my head. Someday something will be better. And
There you were in Paris and you were still you.
yeah.
You're still having that same conversation that someday when you got somewhere special, then you will have made it.
I have a question, Christian.
Please.
So you're now in Paris. You've been hired for 5 weeks, or you're there for 5 weeks, but you've been hired to do hair and makeup for the Paris Fashion Show. Did you have any thought that, oh, when I get hired by this person, then it will be better?
Yes, I had this thought. Really. I got hired for like one show and I was like, yeah, it's a medium brand. And I got hired for a huge, big brand. And I was like, and I was there and was like, there was no different, there was a different kind of feeling around because there were different people, but there was no difference.
You mean your immature idea back when you were in school about what it is to be accomplished might have been inaccurate?
Yes, it's very possible.
I love what you're describing because I know it's through the lens of hair and makeup and going to school and advancing in your career.
But so many people think that when they get somewhere, when they get a degree, when they get a relationship, when they get married, when they get a house or a car, then they will have made it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is when you get those things, now you have those things and they are no longer something you need to get because you have them and they're like you, they're not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you're articulating it pretty close into when it happened also, Christian, because it is a real-time expression of how our minds work. Each of us have different goals or ideas, aspirations, things we want to do, and different ideas of what making it looks like. And the mind is insatiable. So, of course, you finally are in Paris.
Insatiable as you can never get enough.
It doesn't extinguish the idea. There's just a new idea. We have a friend who has been a really close friend of ours since we began our business, and he is our money manager and our certified public accountant. And he talks about some of the uber wealthy people he worked with who thinks that well, this isn't enough. When I get more, it'll be better. And then they get so irritated when they have to pay taxes. Like there's a always ongoing discontent.
What is a discontent?
You know what content means?
You know, like when you're feeling
content, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're discontent, you're not content.
Okay.
You're upset thinking something will make it better someday when you get something new or different or better.
Yes. So I came back to Germany and I was like, wow, this is really it. It's like, it was almost like two ways, in a way of like, wow, amazing, I have this client, I can do this work. It's, so magical, I can do my profession. And on the other hand, it's like, wait a second, you're almost 40 and maybe you work a few more years in your life, so you will be staying in Germany. This is where the conversation went.
It's interesting because you talked about how you moved to Germany, you moved to Hamburg, now you're in Munich, but there have been a lot of other places that you've gone to and lived short term. So you've just identified the idea that where you are is substandard. Like somehow being in Germany does not fit your idea of what a top class hair and makeup artist. You shouldn't live in Germany.
Where should you live?
Somewhere else on this planet. There is even no.
Yes, wherever you are.
Isn't it? And wherever you may go may be it until you get there.
That's so perfect, Christian. Because the starting point for most of us, we have the idea that secretly we are somehow less. So if I'm sitting here in Milford, New Jersey, that's somehow less. My home has to be less because it's mine. It comes from me. So you extrapolate out, you look around. And then,
but what if you are okay? Then where you are is okay, and what you're doing is okay. Now, first principle, if you resist where you are, you get stuck there. Mm-hmm. Second principle, you can only be exactly where you are in this moment. So this is it. Now, that's really a shame, isn't it? When you think, when I get to Paris, then my life will begin. And you go to Paris and you bring you along.
That's interesting. You're the person, this is our shout out to you actually, who suggested this title and this subject. And it is possible to see the world newly in the blink of an eye, an Augenblick, that's German for moment.
Or blink of an eye.
And I see it, Christian, when you say, I'm almost 40 but if you blink your eye, you're here. Being here is magnificent.
And it's ageless.
It's not comparative what I've done and what I hope to do. It's about being here. And it's interesting that you came back to, I put back in loose quotes, you came home to Hamburg, and for a moment, you were excited about being here.
But didn't you grow up in Switzerland?
Yes, originally Swiss, yes.
So is Switzerland somehow substandard?
To be very honest, in my mind, kind of yes.
Well, of course it is, because it's where you come from. Now, mind you, it's true. It's not the hair and makeup mecca of the world. It's not when, if I think of, high fashion, I'd likely think of New York or Paris. And there are other fashion places as well, which is probably why you spent so much time visiting friends in Hong Kong and whatnot. But It was the perfect place to birth you into this moment. You would not be you without where you came from, all of the expansiveness, all of the hardships, your particular family. Everything about you is perfect, and it led you to this moment.
Wow. I got like, just when you were saying that, I got so many goosebumps. It's magnificent.
Well, that's because you are. See, you don't want to cop to your own magnificence. Just being you, not doing anything, not doing your life right. You're enough, exactly as you are.
Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Well, you see, I'm clear about something in this moment, and that is, Christian, that you're listening. Now, how I know that is you're not saying, "Oh no, you don't really know me." If you really knew me, you wouldn't be saying that I'm magnificent because I have this, this, and this wrong with me.
Well, that's part of goosebumps. You know, like when you listen to somebody sing and they really hit a true note and you get goosebumps. Goosebumps over your own magnificence. And now I'm getting them back. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you
Yes,
so
thanks
much.
for being with us today.
Thank you.
Hey, it's time for the listener feedback spotlight.
It's where we get to hear from people in this amazing listenership and transformation community talking about what's happening in their lives.
This is Dave in Winnipeg. I was a bit speedy today, and when I listened to the Being Here podcast, I slowed down and got in this moment, and it's a wonderful place to be.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
We have a weekend seminar coming up on the theme similar to what we're talking about today. It's the theme of new beginnings. It should be simple. You can start your world anew, and we're all investing in being here on June 11th and 12th. It's a Saturday and Sunday.
It's a virtual seminar.
So you can come from wherever you are and join us. Hamburg, like Christian, or any place else in the world. Also in...
If it has internet.
Yes, that's true.
Any place that has
But if
internet.
it doesn't have internet, you may not be hearing this right now.
Right.
Creativity and Intuition is our course at the end of July. So if you'd like to find out more about that or our upcoming Living Made Easy 2-hour seminars, you can go to our website.
transformationmadeeasy.com.
Yes, feel free to register or find out more.
The name, Transformation Made Easy. Transformation is easy. Our minds complicate everything. Our internal conversations, our doubts about our own brilliance, our trying to figure out how we fit in to this amazingly complex and yet at the same time simple world. It's really quite cool.
Ready for our next
I am.
Lovely guest?
I am.
All right, Miss Mary, welcome to being here. Tell everybody where you are zooming in from.
Hi, I'm Mary, and I'm zooming in from Brooklyn, New York.
Welcome.
How's
Thank you.
Brooklyn?
Brooklyn is lovely, actually. I took a brief walk. Pardon?
You're like, lovely, actually. Don't be so surprised.
Well, I took a brief walk before the show, and the sun is out, and yeah, it was nice. It
Great.
was nice.
What can we do for you, lovely?
Well, it was so interesting, this topic, because I was fretting a bit about superpower and thinking, and then it occurred to me that one of the things that I do is babysit my granddaughter part-time. And I thought, okay, my superpower is knowing when she's at that point where she needs a nap and she'll go down without the least fuss. And then it occurred to me, okay, so what I'm doing in that situation is I'm being with her. I'm just in that moment. And I was trying to make the theme mean something. It occurred to me, it's like, yeah, being in the world, being not thinking. And
Well, Mary, dear, you were talking about thinking about not thinking, as though thinking about not thinking or not thinking is better than thinking.
yes.
That's changed. That's why at the beginning of today's podcast, I'm not sure if you were listening, but I was identifying what it is to truly listen. And then I said, if you're thinking or your mind is racing, that's the only way you can be, and that's perfect. In change, you identify thinking as bad or substandard, and then you vow over time to no longer think.
But you can't help but think. If you notice, you have thoughts all the time. They're spontaneous. They come when something stimulates you in a certain way. So you have this reactive thought process that shows up immediately. Like if I were to mention dog, you'd think of a certain type of dog
Mhm.
or a baby.
Or a cat.
Yeah.
Maybe even a
Yeah.
stuffed animal your granddaughter has. But there's this other reality and possibility. You don't have to figure out, and you cannot figure out your superpower. Your superpower expresses itself through being here. When you're here, your creativity emerges, your intuition is accessible.
Now, you're a very creative person. I know you. I know your work as far as your artistry with beading. And Ariel even has bracelets that you've brilliantly created. When you're thinking about how to create a bracelet, for instance, it doesn't always go the way you thought it would.
Most of the time.
Especially when it turns out great.
Yeah, I can't, my process of creating, I actually have to have things in my hand. I have to put colors together. I have to start doodling on a piece of paper. I can't I can come up with a concept, but until I'm actually doing it, I don't know.
Yes, and you underestimate something else, and that is your willingness to keep looking and researching when you don't know how to do something. I know it wasn't too long ago, somebody said, I'd really love it if you could make a strap for my Apple Watch.
Mm-hmm.
And the fittings for an Apple Watch you didn't have in your studio. You weren't holding them in your hand. But you said, yes, I can do that. Let me research it. And you found how to get the fittings that would slip into the watch itself.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow when you say that, that's something you've said over and over to yourself. I can't really create. I can doodle. I can't do it until I have it in my hand. There are whole aspects of your creativity that you don't even recognize because you don't hold them in the box called creative. But getting on the I'm assuming in the internet to look at a catalog where they might have fittings for Apple Watch bands.
Mhm.
That's a creative aspect in and of itself, but you tend to disregard that.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that I'm resourceful if I'm not if I'm open to looking.
Yes, if you're open to looking. It's interesting though, as you're talking, I find I'm listening to you, and it's interesting how much we label ourselves.
Mhm.
And the labels themselves keep us from looking. So if I am a resourceful person or a creative person, then I might not think I am good in some area that doesn't fit within that parameter.
Yeah, yeah. I have a medical test I need to do tomorrow that I've been feeling somewhat anxious about. It's a brain MRI,
Mhm.
and I'm not overly concerned about what they'll find, but just the test itself was scaring me.
What
But
about it? Are you what idea do you have that you're frightening yourself with?
oh, I can create the most bizarre scenarios for disaster.
Yes,
I'm really good at that. So
we're
I
all good at that. That's what our mind's function is. It's a machine that generates worst possible scenarios.
I've had a few MRIs. I really loved them. They were such an awesome opportunity. I've had it on my shoulder. I've had it on my lower back. You know, it wasn't on my brain, but of course, I was in a machine. There are open MRIs, but it was this opportunity for me to play this game to see how still I could be so that every single image came out perfectly. And so, and the machine's loud. It goes ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk. And I was a professional MRI person. Yes. And when I came out, the technician was like, wow, you know, you didn't even twitch. And of course, at the time, my when they did it for my shoulder was in excruciating pain. Your head's probably not in pain. But I was like, I can be here with this because I am getting an MRI. You are totally capable of anything you put your sights on, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So I'm left with, why are you having this brain MRI?
Well, I had an odd symptom. I had a phantom. I smelled a phantom odor.
Aha.
They call it burnt toast symptom.
Aha.
And and I was with my daughter Leah and my son-in-law Andy, and they urged me to get it checked out. So this is part of the process of getting it checked out.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and what does burnt toast symptoms sometimes indicate?
Well, I did see a neurologist. It could be a type of seizure, or it also could be, I have an appointment with an ENT person. It could be sinus related, or it could be nothing.
Who knows? Maybe you have a whole new intuitive sense opening up.
Yes. Maybe it's hunger.
Well, first of all, I'm happy you're getting it checked out, but you have a friend, which I won't tell you who it is, who actually has that type of synesthesia where she sees colors when people speak. You know, there are different things that people experience. Some people I know smell things around. Our son used to smell things around people. And I remember we were looking for an apartment. He's like, you can't live here. This place smells awful. And it was not anything any of us could smell, but he had a sensitivity. So you never know, maybe something's waking up. And in the meantime, I'm happy you're getting it checked.
Thank you. The neurologist made a very interesting comment. He said, we know it's not a stroke. He said, a stroke will take something away, but a seizure will stimulate something. So I thought that was a very interesting fact to know.
Well, it can all be an exciting adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank
Depending
you.
on your point of view.
You know, and the machine goes ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk. It could be, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. You know, everything, you know, you're here. It's just this amazing adventure. It could feed into the grinder of our minds that somehow makes us less or problematic.
Yeah. I've had such good health for so many years that
Well, why not continue with that?
okay.
You're like, I've had my share of good health. I
right.
think it's my time in the barrel.
Right.
I was thinking it's hard for me to look at, maybe there would be some limitations coming along or some.
Well, look, how old are you now?
74.
You're 74. So that thought process, it comes along with the aging process.
But you know, Mary, when you were 20, if you experienced at 20 how you are today, you might think of it as a limitation, because a 20-year-old's physicality is different than a 74-year-old. But I like what Shia says about your thought process. You have the expectation of limitation.
Right. Because,
but you're not.
I'm 81. We have a number of trips planned this year, to
Fish.
remote, far out places that are far away from people and away from civilization. And I nowadays have thoughts like, I hope my health is okay, because it's part of the conditioning and programming. At a certain age, your thoughts kick in about your health.
Yeah, though you are an inspiration to me.
Well, you're an inspiration to me.
So there.
I mean, you up and moved after a whole life in Minneapolis, Minnesota, living in this Minnesota. Living in the same home that you raise your kids, and you
moved to Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. Start a whole new life.
Yeah. And I'm happy I'm here. Pardon?
That took courage.
Yeah, I guess I've minimized that. It was something.
Yeah, look, I know your daughter and son-in-law, and I can see where your daughter's greatness comes from. Because she's really quite an amazing lady.
Yeah.
And she comes from quite an amazing lady. That would be you.
Thank you. That's
That's true.
I'll tell you something. Not to give you tips or a trick or anything, but I'm about to give you tips and a trick.
okay.
There may be moments where you start thinking about things like the MRI is perfect, but we got a whole bunch of listeners and they may not be about to have an MRI, but from time to time, we all have circumstances coming up that we are potentially fearful around. And we may assign that fearfulness to that event, or in this case, the MRI. Like I know when Shai and I went to our son's memorial after he passed away, there were at least some trepidations about the event itself, etc. So you can either look off into middle space and start thinking about what something will be like, which is nothing like what it is when you get there, by the way, because the event itself was extremely lovely. So for us, it was just a beautiful celebration of his life in this case. But for you, MRI, when you get there, you're probably, knowing you, going to be really amazed at how lovely the people are who are taking care of you. So between now and those events that we find ourselves concerned about, all you have to do is blink. You blink, you actually look at what's in your environment. You blink, you actually listen to the people who are talking, or the person who's talking to you. You blink and you're here. In a moment, you're here, and those forward-thinking concerns fall away because you are here. And that is your superpower.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you two so much.
We appreciate you too so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you'd like to be a guest like Mary, or you'd like to submit a listener spotlight, you can go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how. What a great show today.
Yes.
It was so lovely being with them, wasn't it?
Yes.
Next week's episode, so what? We'll be back next week.
So what?
Yeah, come on back.
And don't miss
Being
being here.